Good evening, welcome back to the channel where around 3:45 this afternoon, Hibernian have sacked head coach Paul Heckingbottom after only 7 months in charge. Now, I'll give you this statement and I will say this now, it is shorter than Hearts' statement for Craig Levein. So, the Hibs statement is as follows. Hibernian FC today announced that head coach Paul Heckingbottom and his assistant coach Robbie Stockdale have been relieved of their duties at the club. Head of player development Eddie May will take charge of the team on an interim basis, supported by assistant coach Grant Murray and Stephen Whittaker. Supporters can expect further comment from the club in the coming days. That was the statement from Hibs. So, 60-word statement. So, that is interesting. And actually, it's just been terrible all season. I mean, so in the space of 3 days, Hearts have sacked Craig Levein, and now Hibs have got rid of Paul Heckingbottom. Now, interestingly enough, that Hearts obviously got rid of Craig Levein before the semi-final, but Hibs waited until after the semi-final to get rid of Heckingbottom. And in my opinion, this has been coming for weeks. I mean, as soon as you basically go and criticise your own fans, you know you're in big trouble. And in all honesty, it has just been an absolute shambolic season so far for Hibs. 1 win all season, and that was against St Mirren, which was the opening day of the season. But ever since then, the results have not been good enough. I mean, 6-1 against Rangers defeat at Ibrox. That was dreadful that day. And they were down to 10 men for a long time in that game as well. Then came the Scottish League Cup game against Greenock Morton when they were actually behind for a long time in that game and had to have extra time to win that one. So that was 5-3. Then against St Johnstone, they had to have a late equaliser from St Johnstone to, get out of with a 2-2 draw. Then against Motherwell, they were beaten 3-0. Then Kilmarnock beat them 2-0, and then they lost to Hearts at Easter Road as well. Then there was a Scottish League Cup quarter final where they won 5-4 on penalties against Kilmarnock. They were down to 10 men as well for that game as well. Then came the 1-1 draw with Celtic. Then a 1-1 draw with Aberdeen. So, they were kind of picking up points, but not wins. And then came the third consecutive draw, which was Hibs 2, Ross County 2. Then came the draw that was ultimately his last home game in charge, was a 2-2 draw with Livingston, where they were 2-0 down at half-time and they came back and drew 2-2 in that game. And quite frankly, they could have lost that game as well. So, and then obviously his final game in charge was a 5-2 defeat to Celtic at Hampden Park in the cup semi-final. So obviously he has gone now. But to be fair, he came in, did really well. And everything was looking rosy for him, but obviously after this season's just been really bad. So my question now is, who comes in to replace him? Who comes in to replace Paul Heckingbottom at Hibs? Well, obviously there are 2 names that are being linked. Obviously John Collins is one of them. He was in the hospitality for Hibs against Livingston the other night. So could he be a return to Easter Road? Jack Ross is another man who seems to be being wanted everywhere at this present moment in time. Hearts and Hibs are the 2 jobs that he is currently favourite of. So could that be another one as well? Me as a Livingston fan, I have to admit, when you hear big teams like Hearts and Hibs obviously looking for new managers, Gary Holt is someone who I think would be tempted at either of those jobs. But then again, I don't think he would leave Livingston for them. But having said that, you do not know with that. But he does want to test himself. Let me just try and get Hibs' next manager, and I'll try and just do this, but it's going to be very interesting. So interestingly enough, so this is the Daily Record that have 6 next Hibs managers contenders as the club search for Paul Heckingbottom's successor. So, number 1, Stephen Robinson. Now, he's another one that's been linked with Hearts. Will he leave Mullable? I don't think, obviously Mullable fans won't enjoy seeing this, knowing that Robinson is now officially a target for Hibs and Hearts, so it'll be interesting. Nigel Adkins, now that's an interesting one. Obviously, sacked by Hull earlier this season as well, so he could be another one to go. Steve McLaren, I think that one's highly unlikely, but who knows? But then again, Celtic managed to get Brendan Rodgers, Rangers managed to get Steven Gerrard, so you know there are some big managers coming into Scottish football. Jack Ross is obviously the favourite. Jurgen Klinsmann, another unlikely one, I would say, as well. So Roy Keane, I mean, that's another unlikely one. So there's quite a few there. But if we look at the odds in the sack race, so obviously Jack Ross is 2-5. I don't understand anything with Fitz, but these are the top ones that seem to be getting linked with Hibs at this present moment. So Jack Ross, Stephen Robinson, Gordon Strachan, Jim Magilton, Alan Stubbs. Would he go back to Hibs? Interesting. Derek Adams. Oh, Derek Adams was at Plymouth Argyle the last time. So John Doolan. Not sure about him. Dean Holden. He was at Oldham. Chris Hughton, Stuart McCall, Neil McCann. And interestingly enough, David Moyes did actually come out and say that he has no plans to take over at Hibs. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what will happen as well. So yeah, that would be very, very interesting to see what will happen in that one. But let's see what happens, especially. So yes, guys, get in the comments section below. Who do you think should be the next Hibs manager? And who saw this coming? Both Hearts and Hibs have got rid of their managers in the space of 3 days. So Hearts are looking for a new manager. Now Hibs are looking for a new manager. So both Edinburgh clubs are now looking for new managers. But guys, Hibs fans, definitely get yourselves involved in this. Let me know who you think should be the new Hibernian manager, and we'll see what happens indeed. In fact, I will be speaking to a Hibs fan very, very shortly, so he will give me his take on Paul Heckingbottom's sacking. So I'll leave you with my views, and obviously we shall see what happens. But yeah, we shall see what happens for that one. So yes, Hibernian sack Paul Heckingbottom after only 7 months in charge. Yeah, who is next for the Hibernian job? And with both sides struggling in the Scottish Premiership, with Hibs 10th and Hearts 11th, both sides have now relieved their managers of their duties. Yeah, so shall be very, very interesting. So who is next for the Hibernian manager's job? So we'll see what happens. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back very, very soon with some more videos. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye for now.